I haven't actually been looking at the comments. Let me see. Oh, Daniel Lee's Burberry's really grown on me. I saw someone say something about
I'm
that.
catching up with someone saying Daniel Lee versus Pharrell. Yeah, Daniel Lee. I'm taking
Daniel
Daniel
Lee
Lee all
takes
day.
it. Daniel Lee takes it. No, the Burberry collection is so good. It's
I
grown on me
found all
so
his
much.
collections at Burberry interesting. I know some people haven't been big fans of it, but I personally have been. And I'm actually loading a video on kind of like just talking about everything that Daniel Lee has done at Burberry so far. So I've actually done in recent times a lot of research into his collection. They're interesting. They're really interesting.
No,
I'll
I
take
didn't
Daniel
like it at
Lee
first.
over
And then
Pharrell.
I
Yeah.
saw it in person. And from there I was like, oh, yeah, you know what, this is hard. Like you enter the store, you're around the clothes, everything feels so British. Like a level of Britishness that I felt Burberry hadn't achieved for a while. Because it was, to me, it was so diluted with like Riccardo Tisci, that monogram that he did that I really don't like. Burberry had just lost a lot of British essence to me, and now I think Daniel Lee's brought so much of that back.
And it's interesting because every brand has its own unique selling point, right? And I think with Burberry, what a lot of people actually look for is that sort of British heritage association that it has. That's why I've heard that it does really well in China, and it's because that's what consumers that buy Burberry in China actually appreciate about it. It's like this sort of British heritage sort of vibe that comes with Burberry. So it's very interesting that, you know, Riccardo Tisci was kind of all over the place. One season it was inspired by the Roman Empire, and you have these clothes that look like armor from like centuries ago, and then the next season it's like something else, and the next season is graphic prints. It was all over the gaff.
Oh, someone said, okay, they're saying I'm giving Pharrell too much grace. Hear me out. This is my theory. Yeah, hear me out. But you know what it is? Out of all the luxury houses, and more of them are becoming like this because they all are making so much money. But out of all of them, particularly LV, because there's so much money involved, the first few collections have to be really safe. Like I just think they don't let you do anything that creative, even if you wanted to. I really don't. Like in my opinion, I didn't think. Obviously, I like what it stood for, but Virgil's first collection wasn't that interesting to me.
Yeah, Virgil's
His
first
second
collection was
collection,
not.
yeah. His
Virgil's first
second
collection
collection
was
wasn't that
just
interesting to
like,
me.
wasn't it basically sweatshirts and then matching trousers, and then the
Bro, it
whole
was
show was like a
sweatshirts,
color
matching
gradient
trousers, baggy
with those
suits, and
what was
some
that
cool
thing that they were
bands.
wearing? No, they were wearing
Harness.
those harnesses, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
And
it
those
was.
are like the
It
hero
wasn't that.
pieces in that collection.
It wasn't that interesting to me. But I think it's because I think the house just don't allow you to be that creative for your first couple of collections because they need you to be able to sell tens of billions worth of clothing and and accessories.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, oh, I think by this season, by SS25 is when he'll hit his stride, and if not, then I'm like, oh yeah, it's done. Because I think you have to, for a house like LV, I think they make you prove, okay, oh, you can move units. Okay, we'll give you a bit more freedom. We trust your vision a bit more, blah, 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 blah. And I think you can see that with Virgil's collections. Because if you look at his 8th show, which was Fall Winter 22, if you look at that show compared to his first show, they're worlds apart. That's his FW22 is the show with, it was super angelic. It had the dancers jumping onto the trampolines and bouncing back up. It had actually well-tailored suiting. Like, no, they are leagues apart. And you can tell that, at that point, LV had given him the reins and said, you know what, like, we trust your vision, you can do what you want. So that's why I give Pharrell a bit more grace, because I just believe they're not going to, even if he had some crazy idea for the first show, I don't think they would have let him do it personally.
Yeah. What Marco D said, perhaps you should accept the shift in fashion, not consider every one-way an artistic event, but walking catalogue for the top 1%. But who wears collection? Elon Musk as a sailor boy. Yeah, so Marco, I already do that. So that's why I end up, the designers that actually design with the perspective of fashion being art, let's say J.W. Anderson or like designers like that, when I review those collections, or Walter van Beirendonck, I review it in that regard. And then with luxury brands, you'll see from the way I talk about it, we talk about Okay, how's this going to do financially? Okay, what are the accessories? Because we know that's going to sell. Okay, let's see what's carrying, what's the financial performance. The conversation becomes very financial. And then me just saying the clothes are boring because it's not, with some of the brands, it's less artistic. So the way I talk about the brand really depends on the perspective that the brand has or the designer that works at the brand has. So really, it differs depending on what brand. Like Chanel, commercial as commercial can be. So I'm always going to like talk about it that way, so long as Virginie Viard continues designing the way she's designing. But then if I'm reviewing a, I don't know, like Tebe Magugu show, now we're going to really get into the art. So it really just depends who we're talking about. People are talking about KidSuper's show.
The thing about KidSuper show that a lot of people don't realize is loads of it didn't get made, though, in terms of like it didn't get put into production. So did I like his show? I liked it. I liked it, but in terms of like from LV's perspective, they didn't make any of it, and they didn't sell a lot of it. A lot of it is still in the stores now. So I think that's partially why they didn't, just give him the full contract, because it wasn't selling the way they wanted, I don't think, or at least it was too creative for them to make a lot of the pieces they wanted to make. They felt it was like not commercial enough.
Yeah. Or what would you do if you were doing Chanel? Just curious. So the thing is, I actually have a lot of design ideas. Like I have it written down like on my phone and on my laptop. Not because I want to be a designer or anything, but I just have ideas and sometimes I write it down. Who knows? I might use it in the future. But if I look at the design ideas I have and what brands those would work at, Chanel would not be one of them. The design ideas I have would work at brands like Jill Sander or like, yeah, Jill Sander is probably the main one, because the kind of design aesthetic that I would have as a designer would look exactly like Jill Sander, like in terms of like the tailoring, the coats, but make it really interesting. Like make it avant-garde tailoring in a way. So like well-tailored things, and then use that structure. And because I don't want to tell you the ideas, I don't want people to steal it. Mike, I can tell you after. I don't want to see it on the runway.
What's funny too is that kind of stuff actually happens. That buys jokes.
I don't want to see my ideas on the runway. Oh my god, so I'll be like, wow. I'll be doing those. I'll be like tagging Diet Prada. Oh, I'll be like trying to like go on my like live stream.
I said this in a live stream 3 years ago.
Like I said this in a live stream, they've copied me. Oh my god, now they're making millions off my ideas. I don't want to fall victim to that.
They said talk about Matthew Williams, mate.
I wanted to talk about that in a different video. Do you want to touch on it quickly?
Talk about it in a different video, bro. I think it was overdue.
Leah Johnson said, Kai intern's taking notes right now. Jeez. The next Chanel show, this looks familiar. That's why I don't want to tell you the idea. But okay, let me think of what other. Okay, Jill Sander is definitely one of them that my ideas would work for. But that's the thing. So that's the thing. If you're going to design at Chanel, you have to be the Chanel designer, or your design aesthetic has to work for the brand, no? So I know that I couldn't design at Chanel if I was a designer, because my design aesthetic and kind of the way I think about design doesn't work for a brand like Chanel. It won't work.
Okay, let's shift the question. You're made CEO of Chanel tomorrow. What are you changing?
CEO? Okay, I'm sacking Virginie Viard immediately. And I'm probably going to hire Alessandro Michele. That's probably the first thing I'll do.
Is it?
Yeah.
You know what? I can see it. I don't think it'll happen, but I can see it.
I just want to see Alessandro Michele at Chanel. I just feel like it'll be fireworks.
No, I can see it. I can see it.
He has a maximalist aesthetic.
Yeah.
You mix that with the tweeds and the colors, and you mix. I just feel like it'll just be really, really interesting. And what you know, like people always when they talk about Alessandro Michele, like how he started, is that like hobo chic? Is that like vintage where I can thrift it for £3, but the Gucci one costs like $600?
Yeah.
And I feel like Chanel kind of right now has that sort of frumpy grandma look. And I feel like you merge that Alessandro Michele, like vintage, I can find it in a vintage store sort of thing. I feel like you get fireworks. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, no, I hear it. Well, no, but I don't think it'll happen. But I hear it a lot. I think it'll
Yeah,
be nice.
I don't think so either, but I would like that.
There's so many rumors as well about where he's moving to.
I've heard all sorts. I've heard he's going to Fendi, and Kim Jones is going to go to Givenchy. I've heard he's going to go to Chanel. So much speculation.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know what's true and what's false just yet, though.
Yeah, those are actually just rumors. Like, they're just rumors. This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club, where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.